Hey YouTube, this is Jaden Stern coming at you from Team Shower Strike, and this video is a video that was requested by Geocon. And he said, Jaden, can you please tell me from your experience how to get into the competitive scene in Vanguard and how you got into it? So far, I just go to shop tournaments. And I replied to him saying that it was a very good idea, and I thought it was worthy enough of making a video out of it. And I apologize to him for being gone forever because, guys, like I said in my last video before this, it was a deck profile. It explains there why I've been gone. But he said no problems. Just wanted you're a veteran card fighter, and I wanted your advice. And I'm sure a lot of other newish players would would appreciate it. Well, first off, I don't know. This may not be the best answer, but well, everybody knows, or at least most of you guys know, how I got into Vanguard. At the time, I was a Yu-Gi-Oh player, and that was the only card game I played. There's other Yu-Gi-Oh players that I played with that played Magic. Some of them played other card games, but I only was Yu-Gi-Oh. Well, I was at Alien one day, and our shop owner, he had the first two Vanguard trial decks, the Blaster Blade and the Dragonic Overlord trial decks, and he said it was a new game in Japan, it was supposedly extremely popular, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wow, that sounds interesting, but I'm really just going to stick with Yu-Gi-Oh right now. If I could go back and see myself then, I would have slapped myself, but anywho, he said, well, I have this DVD here, it's the first 4 episodes, and of the anime, and you can see what you want to do there. And I took the DVD home, and I thought, you know what, I'll watch it, and if I'm interested, great. Well, at the time, I was a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player. I went to regionals. I even qualified for nationals twice, and I never ended up going just because I didn't have the urge to go, to be honest with you. And the last 2 regionals in Yu-Gi-Oh that I went to, I didn't want to go to them. I was practically dragged by friends, and I ended up qualifying for nationals in both of them. But, I mean, I was a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player. I loved the game. I loved the strategy, but the game was just starting to lose a lot of, I don't know, it just didn't feel the same anymore. It seemed like it was more of a money hole than anything. And the ban list pretty much, it decided what, one second, guys, let me, there. The ban list was starting to kind of dictate what the top decks were, and I didn't like that because I never really was that much of a meta person in Yu-Gi-Oh! I kind of just played what I liked. Now, there were times I played the meta decks because that's what I liked, but I played them because that's what I liked, not because it was winning. For example, I was playing Chaos decks, and people, I played plants, plant synchro decks. I played harpies at one point. Chaos dragons when they very first came out. I mean, it was things like that, and I just kind of played those decks because those were what was most fun to me. But the last 2 regionals I went to, the decks I topped with was Macro Rabbit and Harpies, and those decks were just the fun decks that I played. And, nowadays, I mean, I still keep tabs on the game. I still check out some Yu-Gi-Oh tubers, and I watch a couple games maybe at my locals and talk to some of my old friends that, that play Yu-Gi-Oh. But I don't know, guys. The game just does not. The game kind of seems like it's going downhill, to me. But I have considered maybe slapping a deck together and just playing again for fun, but that's not anywhere in the near future. Or not. I don't know. But I was a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player, and I watched those 4 episodes, and I was just totally interested in Vanguard, and I was just like, okay, I need to get into this. So next day I went back to my locals, and I spent like $250 on trial decks and packs and sleeves, and I just became it was nice because it was a game that allowed customization to the deck. You didn't have to play certain things. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, when you were building a deck, or at least the tail end of my, I guess, my competitive Yu-Gi-Oh days, it felt like every time you were building a deck, you were like, okay, I need this. I need this. You got to play this because that's the archetype I'm playing. And then it just was like there was no customization. It had to be played this way. And I just didn't like it. I just didn't. And started playing Vanguard. And then eventually I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And Vanguard. And then I was playing more Vanguard and less Yu-Gi-Oh! And then cut to like 6 months after playing Vanguard, I sold my Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. I literally went up to the counter at my locals. I sold my deck. I sold everything out of my trade binder. And I literally turned around and got boxes of Vanguard because it's just like, this is more fun to me. It's more fun. It's a more balanced game, and that's just how it evolved. Eventually, I made friends, and our scene got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just become more fun for me. Now, keep in mind, I played Vanguard for at least a year before I even competed in any major event. The first event I ever went to for Vanguard was a team league, and it was with my teammates Christian and Sam, and that was the first time we ever been on a team together, and we ended up placing 7th, which I'd say that's pretty good for first time. It may have been even closer to 2 years, guys. I don't know, but that is how it literally. We just found out about the team league, and we were like, "Let's go to this." So the best piece of advice I can give you, Geocon, or anyone who's wanting to know how to get into the competitive scene of Vanguard, of course, it's not as easy as it is for other people. For example, I'm 24 years old. Both my other teammates, they're in their 20s. We all have jobs, and we we have more access to go to these things. I understand for people who are still in high school or living at home, that might be hard to do. But we travel to our events. We drive. We flew to nationals for Team League earlier this year. That that takes time. That takes planning. It takes money. So I understand, players who want to get into the competitive scene, but they just may not have the resources to do it. Don't think for 1 second that means that that's bad, because there are a lot of players, I'm sure, that are right there along with you. But competitive Vanguard for me now, because every year, I've gone to Team League. I'll be going to Team League again this year. That'll be in May. Excuse me. Earlier in October, I went to my second single regional. So I've now been to 4 Bushy Road events and 1 ARG event, which I am never going back to. But I've been in the competitive Vanguard scene now for going on 3 years, and the best thing I can tell you, if any of you have ever been in the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh scene, and by that I mean regionals, a YCS, or a national tournament, because I've been to all 3 of those. I've been to plenty of regionals. I've been to 2 YCSs, and I've been to nationals once. But now I've been to a Bushy Road regional and a Bushy Road national. I love how Bushy Road operates. Their events are so much more smooth, and just the environment is more calming. Yu-Gi-Oh, in my opinion, it just has gotten real. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of players that play Yu-Gi-Oh at my locals that just, when I first met them, I liked them, but it's like as they got older or got more into the game, they just became snobs. I still have my big close circle of friends, and then you have what you'd call, I guess, your local friends. They're not necessarily your friends, but when you're there, you talk, you hang out, you chill, blah blah blah. But there's just a group of people from my locals that I just don't talk to anymore, and it's not because that I don't like them. It's just because they play Yu-Gi-Oh! And just I don't like the attitude that Yu-Gi-Oh! Players seem to have now. There's very few Yu-Gi-Oh! Players at my locals that I even talk to anymore. But um, you know, it's getting into the competitive scene of Vanguard. It it's not hard, but it's not easy because if for the people who live in the cities where the events mostly happen, it's easy because you don't have to get a hotel. You don't have to travel, or if so, not much. Um, so that takes that out of the equation. Vanguard events are free to enter. It doesn't cost you a thing. You literally just have to, which is nice because to enter a Yu-Gi-Oh! Regional is $25. Or is it $20? It's 20 or 25, something like that. But to enter a Vanguard Bushiroad event, it costs you absolutely nothing. You just show up, fill out your deck sheet. They give you a lanyard with your number. You turn in the deck list, and you're set. which is really nice. But getting into the competitive scene of Vanguard, the best piece of advice I guess I could give you is don't go to a major event until you feel that you are at least comfortable enough with the rules. Now, hear what I mean when I say that. So many people, there have been some people I've talked to, and they're scared to go to an event because they're afraid they're going to get steamrolled because they're just afraid they may not measure up to other players. Which, I get it, guys. Nerves plays into every factor. Every time I go to an event, the first match I always play, I'm not nervous. You just have those early butterflies. You just want to get off to a good start. Every player goes through that. Even if they say they don't, they do. It just... getting into the overall competitive scene, don't try and get all wrapped up in the idea of that you're going to an event with pro players. I hate that term. I liked how Geocon said it, veteran player. I'm a veteran card fighter because I've played the game long enough. I understand the rules. I pretty much have a general, excuse me, idea of all the clans. I've been through the competitive scene and I understand it. I prefer that term. When you start throwing around the word pro player or non-pro player, to me that just starts opening up a big can of worms that just doesn't need to be opened. Because I remember from my competitive Yu-Gi-Oh days, oh, that guy, he's a pro player. He's one of the ace players. He's won a lot of YCSs, so he's a pro player. And it just got real old because there were people, some of these people, just because they knew that people were calling them pro players, they got these huge heads, and they were just like, "Yeah, I'm a hot shot because I can play Yu-Gi-Oh really well." And there are a lot of them out there, and I could sit here and name many names from ones I've met, and it is hilarious that they think, wow, you think you're better than me because you have won a YCS. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I would have won I never won a YCS, but if I would have won a YCS, I'd have been happy. Would I have walked around and thought that it made me better than somebody? No. I've topped twice now at Team League. Do I think that makes me a better player than any other player out there? No. I've come really close to topping in both singles that I went to. Does that make me think I'm better than anybody? No. I play the game because I love to play it, and I happen to play it very well. And that's because I do my absolute best. I practice the deck that I want to play with. I tweak it. I make changes. I try to take the whole meta into consideration. And that's just how you become a good competitive player. Now, I know competitive players that just play at their locals. So, if you want to set a goal for yourself to get into the competitive scene, I encourage you to do it. Look at the schedules online and find out where the closest. The next big event coming up will be Team League. That starts in February and it goes all the way through August, I believe. Sorry, guys, allergies suck, but check it out. February to August. Look at the dates when they're set. You'll be able to find out where they are, like what city and where the event's being held. Maybe you can find a way to go. Since it's Team League, obviously you'll need 3 players. And just go, and for your first event, if you're one of those players who are wanting to get into the competitive scene, let's say you look at the dates and you go, oh, I can go to one that has happening in March. If you decide you're going to the one in March and you go, here's my advice. Do not have any expectations. Just go and tell yourself, this is my first big event. I am going to have an experience and have fun. Because, whew, sorry guys, if you go to an event and you tell yourself, I'm going to win this thing, I'm going to top this thing, I'm going to qualify, blah, 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 you tend to maybe not take your time as much in a competitive game. Now, keep in mind, guys, if you go to these, things that you might do in your casual games may not fly. And by that, and we've all done it, we're all guilty of it, you are about to place the card down on the field. You place it and then you pick it back up. Now, if I'm just casual playing with my friends, we really don't care about that. I've done it. My friends have done it. We all have done it. But if you do that in a upper level event, if a card hits the mat, it's played. You can't take it back. So you need to also practice like you would be going to that. You need to practice about shuffling your deck. You need to practice offering your deck to your opponent to let them cut it. You need to practice keeping a steady pace when you're playing. Don't slow play. Make sure you get your numbers right. Make sure you communicate enough. Make sure you know all the rulings on your cards. Things like that. But getting into the competitive scene of Vanguard, guys, it's not tough. You just need to decide to do it and also have the resources to do it. There are a lot of you out there, I'm sure, who would like to get in the competitive scene. And if you get the opportunity, I encourage you to do it. Because the general population that plays Vanguard are very friendly people. I have met so many people at these events that are genuinely very friendly people. And I enjoy being around them. I enjoy being there. There are people I see every event, and I don't necessarily remember all their names, but I recognize them. I can say hello and and have a conversation. And if you ever do go to a competitive event and I'm there, please come up and say hi and talk. I love meeting you guys. I will be at the Team League event, more than likely the one that will be in Texas, because that's where they have them, that's closest to us. But and I'm generally wearing this shirt, actually this exact same shirt, at all my major events. So if you get the opportunity to get into the competitive scene, I encourage you to do it. Just make sure of a couple of things, that when you go, you're going there to have an experience and you're going there to have fun if it's your first time. Then when you go back your second time, you can set a goal for yourself. I'm going to try my absolute best. Well, actually, I take that back. Every event you should go to, you should try your absolute best. But don't get such a big head thinking about that end result that you may want. Just focus on having fun, playing your best, meeting people, and just having a good time. So I hope this helped. There really isn't a I guess, a go-to guide on how to get into the competitive scene. Um, I mean, the only things I can tell you is just continue to play, continue to practice, try other clans, try other decks, try other builds, play every deck out there, trying to gain experience against them, and see where that leads you. If you guys have never been to a major event, I strongly encourage you, once the dates are posted, um, for Team League between February and August, I encourage you to look at those dates. See if one of those dates would possibly work out for you. It's only November, so if you'd have to save up money to go, or talk to your parents about possibly taking you to one of them, um, you have some time. So think about it, guys. Getting into competitive Vanguard is definitely something I would recommend. It's a friendly environment. It's a lot of fun. Um, it's just, in my opinion, so much better than any other competitive game out there that I've been a part of, which mainly is Yu-Gi-Oh! But it's a lot of fun, guys. So I encourage you all to try and at least get to a major event at least once. So anyway, GeoCon, and anyone else who may have been wondering about this, I hope this helped you. I hope this answered a couple of questions. If you have any more questions about the competitive scene of Vanguard, you can leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to answer them. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.